Saturday Social is powered by FIFA 22 with PlayStation.
Positivity around one United,
yes.
Negativity around another, Carl.
I think you can definitely say negativity around Manchester United. It's not so positive there. That's right, Manchester United, after that 1-0 defeat against Wolves after New Year, it left everyone very critical, very vocal, and the players, they didn't hold back. They were very honest as well. This is what Luke Shaw had to say in his post-match interview.
It's tough. I think you look at our squad, you look at our team, the players we have unbelievable quality, we have great quality. And I think sometimes quality isn't enough. I think, like I said, we need to bring the intensity. We need to bring, being more aggressive. And we need to bring more motivation. I think, maybe from the outside today, it didn't look like we had any of them three. But inside the dressing room, we know we want to win. We know what we want. But I think when we step out on that pitch, we need to give 100%, everything we've got. And I'm not saying, not everyone did, but I think to win these types of games against a tough team like Wolves, we all need to be 100% committed. Because we know it's always close games, whoever they play. And yeah, like I said, it's just tough and disappointing, but we have time now to refocus back. We got a long training week, and maybe the manager can bring some more ideas that what he wants on the pitch.
Thanks, Luke. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Extremely brutal.
That's a hard watch. That is a hard watch, I think.
I mean, I like the honesty from the players coming out, holding themselves accountable. But James, before we try and dissect everything that happened on the pitch, that interview right there, questioning aggression, talking about motivation, the manager talking about him as well. What did you make of that?
I do feel like he was, because this was another, we've seen this performance, haven't we? We've seen so many of these performances where it's like, they're not really able to sort of do much with the ball, like poor in transition, and then the opposition get a goal and we're able to sort of get another victory at Old Trafford with a team that we're not used to winning at Old Trafford. I thought he's sort of searching of what to say to keep kind of everyone happy, but ultimately the most important line of that entire interview for me is not even a word, it's his exhale at the start of it. He's like, what am I going to say here? He's a bit lost, and he's annoyed. He's really annoyed. And yeah, there's some, often we do read it in between the lines, but it did feel like there's a lot going on there. Other things seem to be being leaked into the press as well. It feels like it's quite clear that a lot of those things are coming from players, that there's cliques there. So they're not united, without trying to do a terrible pun, which I've just done.
It's funny because Joe did the exact same exhale at the same time as Luke Shaw just there. I mean, it's safe to say, Specs, though, that all hell broke loose after that this week. The players, the questioning of the manager, there was reports all around that, them not trusting the tactics or playing time for some of the squad. If you were in that dressing room, Specs, what would you say?
I wouldn't even do an interview like what Luke Shaw just done. I would just tell the manager the 4-2-2-2 doesn't work. We're not in 1970. This is not the Brazil 1970 team. You know what I mean? The 4-2-2 in the Premier League doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's just this. Listen, when I'm watching Man United, it looks like I'm watching a five-a-side team play.
So are you laying this at the door of Ralph?
Yeah, I am. He hasn't got the players. He hasn't got the players. With his experience, he should know that he hasn't got the players to play that formation. That formation, you need the legs. You need players that have got intrinsically motivated. And you haven't got that at Man United.
I don't think. I think the 4-2-2 can work. Can it work with that group of players? Is a different question. And I guess the point is that he wanted to see a response from his squad, and he wanted to see who's going to survive and who's not. There's, of these, I've heard about 11 players who want to leave. I went through that list of players, and I was kind of like, okay, off you go, because ultimately they're not going to win the league this year. Like, can they sneak into the top four? Like, maybe. But look at how Arsenal have kind of developed and sorted out their squad a little bit. It does take a lot, and there are casualties. And I think that's the thing now. It's like, it's about who's going to adhere to what he wants, because he's there now. If he's not the manager, that might be one thing, and that might be a problem. And maybe he's not got the kind of soft skills to get the best out of these guys. And they need someone like a Pochettino who's a bit more of a man manager. But he's going to go above. And so what he wants is going to go. So I think this is just part of the sort of, I guess you hope if you're a Man United fan, the growing pains of it all, where a lot of these players will not be there in 18 months' time?
I think if he come in the summer, I will do the 4-2-2-2. You've got the time to do the sessions, but because you've come in just in the middle of the season, and Man United need a fix now, I would have just stuck with the 4-2-3-1 and then go into the 4-2-2. This is, for me,
it's
bad
difficult
management.
for him, though, isn't it? Because he's only got 6 months. I think it is going to be, like you said, finding out who is on side and who's not on side. Because it does feel like, to a level, some players, whoever's leaking it, I don't know who's leaking it, whatever's going on behind the scenes, are to a level throwing him under the bus. I saw a lot of Manchester United fans saying online that, look, United players have done this before. And here's Jay on Twitter saying, I find him extremely proud of Man United players for checking notes, giving Rangnick 37 days before trying to throw him under the bus. 9,000 likes on that one. And I think that kind of represents what a lot of Manchester United fans feel. We've seen this happen before with managers, and it feels like Ralph's only been given 37 days by some players who aren't necessarily massively keen on him. And the issue seems to stem from some of the players are either out of contract in the summer or aren't getting game time. Do you think that? I feel like that's a problem for United. The squad's too bloated.
Yeah.
The periphery players are a problem.
And it is, and that's, I was reading a great article, I think it's Daniel Taylor was talking about Woodward, and he was saying it's not the end of an era, it's the end of an era. The signings that have kept coming in and the contracts that they've given to certain people. Phil Jones got a lot of praise this week, rightly so, because he's gone through a lot. But he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't be at the club. Agreed. And the bottom line is, you look at Liverpool, what are they about? Hard work. You look at Man City, what are they about? Hard work. Mm-hmm. That's what Rangnick's been brought in to have that philosophy for Man United. And that's why this period, is grim for Man United fans. But you've got to find out who's got it. Who's got the stomach for it to play at that intensity week in, week out?
Totally
because
agree.
You need those kind of guys. You look at Liverpool again, that's a small squad, but they play with a really high intensity because they've got the right people there. And Man United, at the moment, you need to flush out and find out who's up to it and who isn't.
Now, this isn't the first time, though, that the players have been questioned or they've kicked up a fuss about the manager. Let's not forget what Roy Keane had to say all the way back in 2019. I mean, give this a listen.
I'm always intrigued when I hear after games when people talk about, but we'll be up for the next game, You're supposed to be up for every game. And to me, it doesn't matter if you're playing for Man United or Altrincham. You've got to be up for every game of football. So I don't fall for this carry-on that there's going to be a brilliant reaction from these players. These are the same players that threw Marino under the bus, and they will do exactly the same to Ollie. Lepers don't change their spots. There's too many bluffers at this club to get United back to the very top.
I love the brutal honesty once again from Roy Keane. Specs, is it happening again? Was Roy Keane right? Do you agree with him?
Roy Keane was definitely right. Listen, when I hear Roy Keane talk like that, it makes me want to ask him, just, you go and play.
You mean?
Go and put your boots on, because, listen, you might as well. These guys who've got, who are younger and more fresh than you, just don't have that drive and the heart and passion you have. And that's what Man United have been lacking for time. I enjoy watching it.
There's a clear detail here. Think like Gerrard, think Lampard, think, Henderson now. There is a standard of how you act and how you work. And there's just a lot of players in that Man United team that who has that Roy Keane mentality in that Man United squad. There's not many.
Yeah, there's very few.
I mean, Manchester United fans, I'm sure, what they would do for Roy Keane, Paul Scholes, that midfield right now, Fred and McTominay. I mean, Fred did come out, though, last night on the defensive a little bit himself and actually explain some of the current situation. Does the blame lie on these players, do you think?
Yeah.
Simple as that?
Yeah, I mean, it has to. If they're there, I guess if they're there long enough, and we've seen everything. Often this happens when there's a manager there for so long. You then try the guy that looks like him, David Moyes. Then you try, then you need a guy who's been there and done it, Van Gaal. Then you need a guy who's okay, right, let's sell our souls and let's just do it. Let's just do whatever it takes. Jose Mourinho. Then it goes. Then we go. We need a guy who knows the club. Solskjaer. You try every single thing until you find a guy that probably needs to have his own personality and identity and all those things. So the manager is a big part of it, and I think this is what Rangnick offers. But the players that are there and the amount of players that are there and the contracts that they're on, I don't think it's something to sweat about too much. I think you just need to get on with it.
I don't think Rangnick's sweating too much either. You saw his press conference yesterday. He looked quite calm, quite measured. We've got a little clip from it here if you didn't see it at home.
Do you think there's a problem at Manchester United, regardless of who the coach is, and that needs to be sorted out first?
Well, I mean, this is not only an issue with a club like Manchester United. When you have a big squad, and we have a big squad, and we have, at least in the last 2 games, we had most of those players available. Yes, we had an issue with 3 centre-backs missing out against Wolves, but in general, we had most of the players available, apart from Paul Pogba. And if you have that many players and only 10 field players can play, and 3 being substituted, then of course you have quite a number of players, in our case 12, 13, 14 players who don't even play or not even being in the squad. And that those players are not happy about that situation is obvious.
James, thoughts on Ralph there?
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong with this, maybe clarify. I feel like he said something like, when you get a new manager, don't let them buy players. And I wonder if that's kind of the feeling here, where he's probably looking at the squad and go, let's just let it be with the way that I want to play, and we'll find out who will go. And then you get to the summer, and then you can buy all these players. I think he's quite calm there, because you're right, he understands where they are now, and his whole thing is building clubs
long term.
Yeah, so I think he's looking at it where we would go, this is a mess, you've just had really easy games and you've not won them. But I think he looks up and goes, You'll all be gone by the summer.
Yeah.
And this is Man United.
He had that little calm aura to him, didn't he? He had that calm aura. But it is going to be a difficult next 6 months, I think, for Manchester United. But I'm tired of talking about him. I'm tired of talking about him.
You're loving it.
Let's move on.